Exactly 5 minutes past the top of the hour. Time for our last conversation this Thursday morning from Matters Entertainment. We converse around lifestyle, our focus centered on handling depression and anxiety. And this is particularly for those in the arts space or the arts industry. There's a lot talked about in those in this particular space. So we get to converse this in the next 30 minutes or so. And my guest is here, Samuel Luchemo, who is a film producer, an actor, casting director, and mental health advocate. I feel like I had to pause before I continue.
I know, right?
It's quite a lot. But let's just start from that point, Sam. I mean, you talk about people in the arts industry, and the guest that Mike had just before we came in, you know, he was sort of like alluding to that issue of mental wellness, particularly for those in the arts business. And I mean, we can go on and on because there's a lot of stories. From where you sit as an actor, casting director, you are a film producer, you've basically interacted with these people in whatever capacity it is, and also being a mental, health advocate. What are you seeing around? What is happening?
Wow, from the longest time, actors, musicians, models have been going through a lot of issues. But whenever they come in front of a screen or in an event, they have to smile. Even journalists, but who
I'm telling
actually
you, it's quite a lot.
Yes, who actually has this time to entertain them, or rather to make them happy. We make other people happy, but who's making you happy as an individual? And most creatives, internationally or locally, they end up very depressed with anxiety and stuff like that. A lot of issues, and then a number of them result into drugs, alcoholism, or die by suicide. And this should not be the case. But because most people don't take mental health as a serious matter, so they just shun away. Or if it's a dude, they will tell him not. Stuff like that.
Deal with it.
I'm like, there's a lot that every individual goes through, and me as a film producer and a casting director, I usually have to talk with my cast first to know if they're on the right headspace before we shoot or anything, because I believe counseling, or rather guiding somebody mentally first, it's very important, so that whenever they are ready now to deliver as a cast, they do their best. Because if somebody goes home, or rather comes with his baggage from home, now it becomes a problem when they're on set. So I usually prefer to speak with a few of them, or rather all of them, and get to know each person. Is he okay, or she okay to do that scene and stuff like that.
I like what you said on the onset. There's those people that appear in front of cameras, whether you're a musician, a model, specifically commercial models, because those appear so much in front of the cameras, or an actor, an actress, or even a journalist. You have a lot of job of always being okay, smiling on that set, in front of that camera, doing that interview, or acting that scene, but your headspace is so off. Why don't we think it's such an important thing to always even have these conversations prior to these people going on set? You just think that you need to deliver. You're in that space, just make sure that show is good. But I don't even care about how you are.
Exactly.
What is the problem?
Most people just see that you should deal with it. Like, whatever you're going through, deal with it.
And make sure you deliver, because if you don't, I'm about to get you out and bring somebody else.
Yes, I know several people who have gone through issues while back at home, and when they come on set, they have to deliver, but they end up not delivering to the best, and then now the producer or director is like, now this is a waste. But you haven't taken that time to speak with this individual, or the artist or the musician, to get to know why is he or she not delivering. All the journalists, why is she not in the right headspace, or he? Let you have that conversation one-on-one with the individual that you want to perform, because if your mind is not on the right headspace, if you don't have an inner peace, then the rest won't work ever. So I believe as either employees or employers, they have to get into consortium with one another to talk about these matters and get to understand the people that they are working with, if they're okay with whatever they're going through, and also have a department for that, especially when it comes to the entertainment industry, for film and even the music industry.
Yeah. And that part of being in the right headspace, I know you also alluded that someone could be coming from home with a lot of those issues, but sometimes it's actually in that working environment. It's just too toxic for you.
I know.
And I mean, it's just too difficult for you, but sometimes because there's barely so much you can do about it, so you just stick around on it.
Exactly.
Because there's nothing so much you can do.
I know. For example, there's a friend of mine who she was going through an issue, sexual harassment at the workspace, and then now she had to tell her boss that she usually has a mental illness or anxiety, and then the boss told her that if I knew you had a mental illness, I wouldn't have employed you.
Imagine.
Like, wow, okay. That's just messed up, because this person, as much as whatever they have, but they're performing in the workplace.
They're trying their best.
And the fact that you're also adding this other situation to her, now it makes it more difficult for her to work. So things like that, I usually advise a number of people, do not discriminate whoever is going through a mental illness. So long as he or she is performing, just try and work it out with her, because most of us families have people who have mental illnesses, but a number of them hide it, so that issues. So it's good to talk about it and make sure that you are in one with this individual, because all they just need is somebody to listen, somebody to love them, and somebody to appreciate them. Those three things, and then they are good.
In fact, that aspect of somebody to appreciate them, you're there giving it your best, your goal, but someone thinks that
exactly,
they just think
it's very
there's nothing as demoralizing as such.
Exactly.
And those are the issues that lead to what we now call those mental illnesses.
Exactly. We try our best to tell people not to think son about this person not appreciating you, but one way or another, we're all human beings. We need a certain sort of appreciation whenever you do something, like let's say a wife to appreciate the husband, or the husband appreciating the wife in whichever small things. It makes the individual feel good, and also the artist, whenever he or she does something, even if it's not the right thing, appreciate that they've done something, but now you can correct them in one way or another, because to build their self-esteem and their courage, they have to be, how can I say, appreciated and handled well.
Well, there's also a certain specific set of persons I'd like us to deal with, and these are the employers. Of course, it cuts across. We're still around this industry of the arts, and this cuts across to whatever arts industry one may be. And we have witnessed cases where some employers would even tell their employees, you're not the first one to go through this.
I know.
And you imagine, you realize, whatever, how should I put it? Anything you go through in this life, much as different people have gone through it, but the way in which it settles with you, the way in which it sits in you, it's a different experience. And so you hear some employers saying, I mean, you're not the first one to go through this, so why would it be so much of a big issue?
I do.
And that's why we've also seen so many suicide cases.
Exactly.
In entertainment,
and
in arts, even in media.
Yes, it's really messed up, because most people want to say that, you just handle it. It's there's somebody who's doing
and sometimes
worse.
Even the way they say you should handle it, it's like you're not speaking to a human being.
Exactly. The main thing is, this person, if to you it's a small situation, but to him or her it's a big. Exactly. So appreciate whatever he or she is going through, and try and understand which aspect, because most employers don't have that time, and to a certain extent maybe I would understand. So that's why I would advocate they create a department for that, for a counseling department for it, so that it's not like really counseling, because Africans or certain people, whenever they hear counseling or go to a therapist, they see that you have a big problem. So it's just, let's call it a safe space whereby you can just speak whatever you want. Hey, you're not being judged or whatever, and then you're guided slowly by because like recently, last week I had an event at thanks to American Embassy and American Corner. At least I could be able to speak with a number of people who are going through issues basing on life, and mental health also affects the social and economical. So most of them, it's either the financial. If you're not financially stable, you end up having depression. And also actors or other artists go through it. And if you have a lot of money, you also end up depressed. So you have to find a balance in between. And usually this thing is not easy, because like certain creatives, whenever they get a lot of money, like boom, they've become superstars, they can't handle all this. They usually need somebody to guide them, because this thing can just go in a blip. But the best thing is if you have somebody to guide you, whenever you have all this, know how to go through it. And whenever you have all that, and then now it goes, because this happens with too many creatives, actors, musicians. They had a lot of money and then, or fame, and then boof, it gone. So these people also need to be guided on how now to come up, and a few of them, at least I talk with them so that they can become better in a better situation and create other significant streams of revenue so that they become more relevant.
Because I mean, when you look at matters of mental illnesses and mental wellness, and so someone would ask or argue then, there's so many fields, but oftentimes you get to witness quite a lot of these cases. If you're talking about careers or professionalism, most of them emanating from those in the arts space, either a comedian, an actor, a musician, a journalist somehow, somewhere. So then what is so peculiar about this specific field? I'm not saying that those in business or engineering, they don't, but it's just a certain kind of, interest.
Yes, with this. I would say, first of all, it's because we are in the public mostly. So most of our issues are seen with a number of people. And creatives, we use a lot of our minds. And the mind is the greatest asset. It's a $1 trillion investment. So if you fully invest in your mind, and you put it now on paper or into fixation for copyrights and your intellectual property, it becomes something magnificent for people to appreciate it. And our minds, when they work most of the time, sometimes you just feel you haven't achieved where you need to, and you end up going more than what you're supposed to. And sometimes it's you get into competition with other people, yet you should understand that you're not into competition with other people. You just compete with yourself, so that you just make yourself better. Because once you start competing with people, whatever you see on social media, it's not real. So you want to be that life. And usually I advise people, don't put things which is not you on social media. Just be you. Because honestly, came to realize nobody actually really cares. People just want to talk. So whatever you will do, if you want to please people, it's okay. But at the end of the day, nobody will really care about it. They just want to know when your downfall is, so that now they start speaking
about it.
Yes, you know, like whenever you see, for example, when you there are certain films which they were not known, but when they got banned, a lot of people now
knew
wanted
about
to see
it.
Exactly, because
And they
like,
just were existing.
Yes, that curiosity.
Yeah.
Because whenever you see, let's say, musicians who having issues with their relationships, people will want to know why and stuff like that, and now speak about other things. But when the relationship is good, nobody will bother talking
one
about
cares.
it. Yes. So you should just live your life the way you can and make a difference in society, because I believe each and every individual here are creative. We were meant to create change, to make people feel better. When COVID came, what made people to unwind is creative industry. People would want to go home and watch maybe sports, watch a movie, listen to music, and all that we made it come alive, or read a book. That's all the creative industry. Watch Kipchoge running and stuff like that. That's the creative industry. And all this is somebody's working their mind in one way or another, because to achieve something, it all involves your mind. If you are not in line with your mind and you do not believe in yourself, you won't achieve anything.
But then how easy is it just to live your life, as you say, not compete, as you say, and also being aware that we are in the digital space?
Yes.
But then even as you respond to that, how easy is it? So then has social media become our biggest impediment? And if so, how?
Yeah, I would say, how can I say this? It's not that easy to just live your life, but you try.
Particularly if you're in this kind of...
This, yes,
in this
because
space.
you need to market yourself one way or another, but try and market yourself in a certain truth, even if it's not all truth, but certain truth. But make sure...
Why would you say not all truth when you need to be very
truthful? Because one way or
truthful?
another, a number of people fake it to make it. And there's somebody who said, if you're not faking it to a certain extent, you're not trying as hard.
as you can.
There's a story of somebody who forged to say that there's a certain motivational speaker was coming to a certain country, but he never wasn't coming. But this guy sold a lot of tickets and attracted now the motivational speaker that he wanted. And came. So one way or another,
you're coming to find a ready market already.
Exactly. So you have to know how to create it, even if you tried to tell a lie.
Is that faking or strategy?
Strategy, I would say.
Yeah,
but with a little
bit of faking.
Yes. But one way or another, you should be truthful to yourself. Never live a life that is not you. If you're taken to, let's say, Kempinski for one day, maybe to do a shoot, don't say that's your lifestyle, because it's not. You belong to a Kibandaski. That's what you do. So let it be you, because for the longest time I do the best I can to be myself. I am not that wealthy, so I do to make sure that this is not something I want to put in my life, because it's not me. You just see me who I am on social media, wherever. So if you want to see any other thing, now you'll have to meet me one-on-one or something. Because certain things you not have to fake. See, kila siku si sherehe. So just appreciate whatever small thing you have, however it is. Just put yourself out there. And our industry gives us a lot of pressure, because we have to be out there. And being out there doesn't mean that you have to fake everything.
And sometimes they require you that while you're being out there in your best version.
Exactly. And sometimes it's good to at least bring a few things to show you're human. Not every person is perfect. So just show you have going through grief, but not breakups. I usually try and advise people don't post things about breakup and stuff like that. Just show that you're just a normal individual like any other person. Because at the end of the day, people want to connect with the real you. And you as a creative, the authenticity comes from you. That's why the best songs comes from breakup songs, because they came from the heart. So if
came from the real feeling, what you're going through at that time.
That pain is so what you're putting your heart and soul in that music. And that pain is when, like, an actor is acting about you've lost your parent or stuff, and you actually lost your parent. When you reflect it in that scene, you feel that pain. Or if you're acting out something that you going through as a child, or abusive family, because most families are the ones which sometimes put people in depression. So if you're acting out this, you would bring out the true self, because it reminds you of that. But sometimes with these people, at the end of the day, after they've acted that, they need to unwind back to now them. And that's why they need somebody like me on set. And then I speak with them to bring them back to okay. Because certain scenes, when you do certain scenes as an actor, it becomes intense. And you put your all into it, and then now to come out of it, it's a bit hard. So you need somebody to talk with.
Yeah, well said. And you said that sometimes it's actually some families who would lead people to depression. And going by one of those reports released by WHO indicates that, you know, issues of trauma, of course, these are childhood traumas emanating from families. They are normally begin to be experienced from around the age of 14. Of course, I'm aware that at times they could even begin earlier than that, age 6, 5, you know, all the way down. But then from that age of 14, but yet they're not always talked about. Oftentimes, and then they catch up with you in your adult life. Then you get into this industry, the art space, where there's a lot of pressure. So then you're dealing with so much. How do we navigate this? Because then you realize it's not just about the industry per se, but you came with these issues and things to the industry. And so now, just too much for you to handle. How do you, as a mental health advocate, how do you navigate some of these things?
It's good. Usually I advocate with parents to always speak with their children when they coming up, so that they can be in the right headspace. Because a number of things which you go through in depression, it usually comes from childhood issues. I, as a child, went through certain issues basing on family and school, being bullied and stuff like that. But one way or another, my late mothers could help me with it. And and my late father also helped me in one way or another, even though we had disagreements with him, father to son. But he's one thing I would say, when you have a supportive parent, it's good for the child, because you get to speak with that child. If he's going to be a creative, you support him or her. I have a certain group of ladies, young ladies, who their mother supports them so much in singing. They're called Menasi Sisters. They're very good at their in singing, and being part also of an organization called Siki Youth Organization. They try to speak with different people with different talents, so that they can become better in their lives. And this, you mold somebody when they are smaller. And as an advocate of mental health, I usually advise people to speak with their children, because whenever you see whatever your person is going through during the adult time, is things which they were bottling up in their mind. Because, for example, if I never stood up to my late father, I would have not be at peace with him. But when I stood up with him, to him, and then now could easily speak with him properly, we became good friends. And then until when he went to be with the Lord. So I believe it's better to have that connection. whenever you're going through certain pain, your first friend should be your parent. And if your parent now becomes now the source of your problem, find either your sibling, and if it's your sibling, find another support system. But never just let it bottle up. Because if you bottle it up, it explodes later in life and things become very worse for you, especially as a creative and also in whichever field. Even doctors go through certain situations, especially now therapists and counselors, because they are going through, they're handling all other people's matters. So also they need somebody to talk with them. And usually they have people they speak to, but others kind of feel they don't need it. But yeah, it's good to have this, somebody you can speak to, talk to, your support system. You can just, rant anything you go through. I have a few support system who are my siblings and certain friends who sometimes I would just call to make sure that I just release my issues.
And talk about it.
Yes, and the things that I go through, they also have gone through one way or another, and then now we discuss, laugh about the situation, and you feel better. So talking about it is good. And as a child, when you are a child growing up, find a way to connect with the parent. And as a parent, you also have to find a way to speak with the child so that you become friends. Not that you're really close friends and it's weird, but just friends whereby your child can feel safe to speak with you. I have certain friends who are very friendly to their parents, which I wasn't that friendly to my late father per se, but we were close to one way or another, and I loved him to death. But the best thing is that solving these issues that you're going through with your parent or your sibling.
I hear.
Good.
I hear you. And we have like 2 minutes to finish this conversation, but I wouldn't want us to exit without talking about that aspect of standing up for yourself, more like speaking your mind at times. And you realize again what you've just been covering on is particularly this set of persons, this demographic, I should say, those in this kind of industry. And sometimes there's that thinking that if I say this, how will they take me? If I ask this of my boss, will they continue keeping me on this job? Will they fire me? What next for me? And so sometimes you bottle it so in because of the fear of the unknown. But just very briefly, speak to the importance of that, speaking to yourself regardless of the outcome, speaking for yourself and standing up for yourself.
It's good, because whenever you're going through, like even my this friend that I was talking about, when she told her boss that it's good to speak out wherever you feel, whatever, if any
of course in the most respectful way.
Exactly. Very important. So if you're going through anything and you feel this is something, try and tone down that voice in your head. What will people say? Whether you speak it or not, people will still talk. So you just say it. Just say it. At the end of the day, at least it will remove one luggage off your shoulder. And that's the best feeling you will ever have. When you stand up for your rights, and whenever you stand up for yourself, whatever you're going through, there's a relief you feel that you can't easily compare to other things. So
true.
I advise
and I can
that.
actually, I am agreeing when you talk about it, even if sometimes you won't really get the solution, but the moment you released it, it just feels good. Like, and it's not just about the feeling, but also it's because of your mental capacity at the end of the day. You need to be in the right frame of mind, because someone said, even when you're gone, we'll mourn you, but at the end of the day, we'll just forget you.
We'll
so when you still have the chance to make sure you're good, be good.
Exactly.
Your clarion call, Sam, as we conclude.
It's good. Me, I would like to advise my fellow artists, always speak out, find ways to talk with the people around you, whatever you're going through, be it good or bad. Just find somebody who is confident with you. And if you want to reach out to me, you can reach out on Facebook at Samuel Luchemo, Instagram Samuel Luchemo. Business people, LinkedIn, Samuel Luchemo, and then we'll have a discussion one way or another so that we solve this matter together, because only power resides in the person who has it and not people who think have it.
Yeah. Well said, and a good place to end it. Yes. Thank you so much, Sam, for your time.
Thank you.
Samuel Luchemo has been our guest, a film producer, actor, casting director, and mental health advocate. Of course, issues around mental wellness, particularly those in the arts industry, centering our conversation. Good place to end it. Good place to end Good Morning Kenya from me and on behalf of the entire team. Asante sana. Till next week, have a good morning.